refused to walk me down the aisle because my sister, who can't stand me, planned a big party on the same day as my wedding. But he completely lost it when he found out who stepped in to take his place. My wedding day almost imploded, ripped apart by a betrayal I never saw coming. Not from a stranger, but from my own flesh and blood, my father and sister. He actually chose her petty party over walking me down the aisle. And the moment he realized what he'd done, it still sends shivers down my spine. I'm Adrian. I was 29 when all of this happened. Growing up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, our family seemed picture perfect. A cozy home, mom's tulips, dad teaching me to ride my bike. My dad, Richard, was my absolute hero. Tall, with salt and pepper hair, he had this commanding presence, but the gentlest smile. He'd sit with me at breakfast every morning, telling me, his eyes crinkling, "Adrian, you have the brightest mind I've ever seen. You are going to change the world someday." Those words fueled me. When I brought home straight A's, he'd celebrate with ice cream. My mom, Eleanor, was the family's steady anchor. Her warm brown eyes and patient demeanor balanced Dad's occasional strictness. She worked part-time as a nurse, always putting us first. She'd spend hours helping me with homework or teaching me to bake her famous chocolate chip cookies. Then, when I was 12, everything shattered. Mom started feeling tired, and within 3 months, we got the devastating diagnosis: stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The next 6 months were a blur of hospital visits, whispered conversations, and watching my vibrant mother fade away. Her passing left a gaping hole we never properly addressed. My sister, Vanessa, 3 years older, was always complicated. Even before Mom died, she seemed to resent the close bond one had with Dad. She was tall and athletic. I was petite and bookish. Mom tried to celebrate our different strengths, but Vanessa saw every compliment I received as a personal insult. After Mom was gone, that tension between us exploded. Dad buried himself in work, often staying at the office until 9 or 10, I think to escape the emptiness of our home. His absence created a vacuum, and 15-year-old Vanessa was quick to fill it, appointing herself the new lady of the house. Dad's dealing with enough. She'd scold me if I asked when he might be home. He has important clients. We need to be strong for him. I watched her transform into someone I barely recognized. She started cooking, nothing like Mom's, of course, and taking charge. Dad seemed grateful, and their relationship grew stronger, while mine with him began to fray. His business success only made it worse. He was promoted to senior partner, meaning more money, but even less time. Vanessa manipulated this perfectly, using guilt trips and emotional tactics to solidify her place as his favorite. Adrian just spent $60 on art supplies, she'd tell him, conveniently omitting it was for a forgotten school project. Or, Adrian said she doesn't need you at her band concert. She knows how busy you are, when I'd actually been counting the days, desperate for him to attend. By high school, Vanessa had crafted an entirely false narrative about me for Dad. I was rebellious, ungrateful, only interested in friends. The truth was, I'd retreated into my studies in art, trying to cope with losing both my mother and, increasingly, my father. The ultimate betrayal came my junior year. I was nominated for a prestigious art scholarship. I'd reminded Dad for weeks. The night before, I overheard Vanessa on the phone with him. Adrian told me she doesn't want to make a big deal about tomorrow. She said having you there might make her nervous. Maybe just send a card. The next day, I sat alone at the ceremony, watching other students with their proud parents as I accepted my award. Dad sent a text, "Congrats, have an important client dinner." I later found out from his assistant that Vanessa had called his office claiming I'd rescheduled the ceremony, making him book another commitment. When I confronted her, she just shrugged. "You always want all the attention." It's pathetic. At 18, I couldn't wait to leave. I applied to colleges on the other side of the state, desperate for distance from that toxic house. The University of Pittsburgh offered a scholarship, and I threw myself into campus life, limiting visits home to major holidays where I'd just endure Vanessa's subtle jabs and Dad's distant politeness. It was my sophomore year when I met Benjamin. He was tall, kind, with a quick smile and a logical engineering mind that perfectly balanced my creative chaos. Our coffee meetup for notes turned into a 3-hour conversation, and within a month, we were inseparable. Benjamin came from a warm, boisterous family who immediately embraced me. His mother, Laura, a kindergarten teacher, made everyone feel special. His father, Henry, a civil engineer with a dry humor. His younger brother, Noah. They welcomed me as if I'd always belonged. Through college and into our early careers, Benjamin was my rock. He understood my family issues without judgment, holding me when holidays left me in tears, celebrating my achievements when my own father failed to acknowledge them. We moved to Philadelphia, built our careers, and created a life far from the shadow of my family drama. My monthly calls with Dad were brief, superficial. Vanessa, now in real estate, still lived in our hometown, always positioning herself as the devoted daughter, reminding me she was taking care of Dad. By 27, I was a marketing executive. Benjamin was thriving, and our life together was more fulfilling than I'd ever imagined. The old wounds remained, but I was building a new life, a new family, where I was valued and loved. Benjamin proposed on our 5th anniversary. He'd planned a day reminiscent of our first date, ending with dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant. When dessert arrived, so did a small velvet box. "Adrian," he said, taking my hand, "you've made these past 5 years the best of my life. Your creativity, kindness, and strength amaze me. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" The ring was perfect, a vintage sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds, unique, like my artistic spirit. In the joy of the moment, I pushed aside the anxiety of telling my family. For one perfect evening, I just wanted to be happy. The next morning, I called Dad. "Dad, Benjamin proposed last night, and I said yes." The pause lasted a beat too long. "Well, congratulations," he finally said, his tone flat, like he was discussing a minor work achievement. "He seems like a good guy. Have you set a date?" No excitement, no questions about the proposal, no offer to celebrate. Just practical inquiries. "Not yet," I replied, masking my crushing disappointment. "Maybe next summer. Let me know when you decide," he said. "I should check my calendar." I hung up and fought back tears. Benjamin found me and immediately understood. "He'll come around," he assured me, though I knew he didn't quite believe it. Vanessa's reaction was even worse. I texted her the news with a ring photo, and her reply was so effusively congratulatory it was transparently fake. "OMG, congrats, little sis. So happy for you. That ring is so pretty." The excessive exclamation points couldn't hide the seething jealousy beneath. Vanessa, 32, had been through a string of short-lived relationships, never finding someone to commit. Despite their lukewarm response, we pressed on. We settled on June 15th, 9 months away. The date worked for Benjamin's family, my friends, and, importantly, my father confirmed he was available. We sent out save the dates. Dad actually sounded somewhat enthusiastic. "I've put it in my calendar," he said. Vanessa mentioned it too. "Actually, Dad," I ventured carefully, "I was hoping you'd walk me down the aisle." Another pause, but this time, genuine emotion. "I would be honored, Adrian." That single moment of connection gave me hope. The next months were a whirlwind of planning. Venue tours, catering, dress fittings. Benjamin's mom, Laura, joined me for many appointments, offering suggestions, never overbearing, always thrilled. "You are going to be the most beautiful bride," she told me at my first dress fitting, tears in her eyes as I emerged in a fitted lace gown. In that moment, I felt my own mother's absence acutely. Laura sensed it, gently squeezing my hand. "Your mom would be so proud of the woman you've become." I also grew closer to Benjamin's uncle Jack, Laura's brother-in-law. Jack was in his early 60s, a retired English professor with silver hair and kind eyes. He never married or had children, but doted on Benjamin and Noah. At family gatherings, he'd always engage me in conversations about books, art, my work. He wasn't just politely interested, he truly listened. "You have a remarkable eye for what moves people," he said after I showed him a campaign I'd developed. That's a rare gift. His genuine enthusiasm was a stark contrast to my own family. Dad would confirm his attendance, but never asked about the plans. Vanessa declined to be a bridesmaid, citing work commitments, though she said she'd attend. Then, 5 months before the wedding, I started noticing troubling signs. Vanessa began vague social media posts about a big event she was planning. When I called, she was evasive. Just something for work. Nothing for you to worry about. But as our date approached, more posts. Venue scouting, catering options, mentioning June as a target date. A knot of anxiety formed in my stomach, but I tried to push it down. The bombshell dropped 3 months to the day before our wedding. Vanessa called me, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Adrian, I wanted to let you know personally before you see it on social media. I'm hosting a career achievement party on June 15th. I finally hit my sales target to become a broker, and the firm is throwing me a huge celebration. My blood ran cold. Vanessa, that's my wedding day. You received the save the date 8 months ago. Did I? She feigned surprise. It must have slipped my mind when I was planning with the firm. Anyway, it's just a coincidence. My event is earlier, starting at 11 a.m. at the country club. It should be winding down around the time your ceremony starts at 4 p.m., so it works out perfectly. Perfectly? I repeated, my voice rising. You're scheduling a party on my wedding day, knowing Dad will have to choose. Dad can attend both, she replied smoothly. He's so proud of my achievement. But I'm sure he'll make it to your wedding too. It's not that far a drive. The country club was nearly 2 hours from our venue, making it physically impossible for anyone attending her event to arrive for our ceremony, especially the father of the bride, who needed to be there early. I hung up and immediately called Dad, praying he'd see through Vanessa. Dad, did you know Vanessa scheduled her work party on my wedding day? Yes, she mentioned it, he replied casually. It's unfortunate timing, but these work events can be hard to reschedule. It's a big achievement for her. But Dad, how will you attend both? You're supposed to walk me down the aisle. I'll make it work, Adrian. I'll go to the first part of Vanessa's event and then drive over for your ceremony. There's no need to make this a bigger issue than it is. But as the weeks passed, I could sense him wavering. He started mentioning the traffic, asking if we could push the ceremony back an hour, wondering if I really needed him for pre-wedding photos. Despite the growing tension, our plans continued. Final fittings, photographer meetings, flowers, welcome backs. Benjamin and his family remained supportive, though I could tell they were increasingly concerned about my father's commitment. Then, just 2 weeks before the wedding, the call came that confirmed my worst fears. It was a Tuesday evening. I was reviewing seating charts when my phone rang. Adrian, Dad began, his voice uncomfortable. I need to talk to you about the wedding. I've been thinking about the logistics for June 15th, and I don't think I can make it to the ceremony on time. Vanessa's event is really important to her career, and as her father, I need to be there for the whole thing. The timing just doesn't work out. I gripped the phone, fighting to keep my voice steady. You're choosing not to walk me down the aisle at my wedding. It's not about choosing, he said defensively. It's about practical timing. Vanessa's event is earlier, and I can't be in 2 places at once. Maybe you could ask Benjamin's father to walk you down the aisle, or your friend's dad. I'm sure someone else can do it. Someone else, as if walking your daughter down the aisle was an interchangeable task, something to be delegated to a stranger. I see, I managed, my voice barely a whisper. I'll still come to the reception, he added, as if it was a generous compromise. I should be able to make it by 7 or so, depending on traffic. After mumbling goodbye, I dropped the phone and collapsed onto the floor in tears. Benjamin found me there 20 minutes later. He's not coming, I sobbed into his shoulder. He's choosing Vanessa's party over walking me down the aisle. Benjamin held me tight, his own anger evident in his tense shoulders. I'm so sorry, Adrian. He doesn't deserve you. That night, Benjamin gently suggested postponing. We could move it. Give your dad no excuse. The thought had crossed my mind, but something inside me rebelled. No, I said firmly. I am not rearranging our wedding because of Vanessa's manipulations. That's exactly what she wants. The next day, Laura called to check on details and immediately sensed something was wrong. I poured out the whole story. Oh, sweetheart, she said. her voice filled with motherly concern. "I cannot believe your father would do this to you." "I don't know what to do," I admitted. Part of me wants to beg him, but I know that's what Vanessa expects. She wants me to seem desperate. "Listen to me," Laura said firmly. "This is your day. Yours and Benjamin's. Don't let anyone diminish it. Your father is making a choice he will regret for the rest of his life, but that is his burden to bear, not yours." Her words gave me strength, but the question remained: who would walk me down the aisle? The thought of walking alone felt like a public acknowledgement of my father's rejection. Later that week, Uncle Jack called. "Benjamin told me what happened," he said gently. "I hope you don't mind him sharing." "Of course not," I replied, touched. "I know this is a difficult time," Jack continued. "Family disappointments cut the deepest." Something in his tone suggested he knew this pain personally. "It sounds like you understand." "More than you might guess," he said. "My own father studied literature instead of business. Some wounds never fully heal, but we learn to build beautiful lives despite them." His wisdom brought fresh tears. "Thank you for understanding, Jack." "Anytime, dear. And remember, family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up for you when it matters." 1 week before the wedding, I hit rock bottom. Despite excited emails from friends, final vendor confirmations, I found myself on the bathroom floor at midnight, overwhelmed by grief. The wedding was coming together perfectly, except for the gaping hole left by my father's absence. The next morning, Benjamin suggested I meet Laura for lunch. She was waiting at a quiet cafe. "Benjamin is worried about you," she said, squeezing my hand. "We all are." "I'm trying to be strong," I replied, stirring my tea. "I keep telling myself it doesn't matter, that I'm better off without Dad there. But then I think about walking into the ceremony alone, and I just feel abandoned." "It's okay to feel that way, Adrian. What your father is doing is wrong, and you have every right to be hurt." As we picked at our salad, Laura seemed to be gathering her thoughts. "There's something I think you should know," she finally said. "Something about Jack that might help you understand why he called you." "What about him?" I looked up, curious. "Jack is actually my late husband's brother," she explained. "When I met Henry, Jack was already estranged from their parents. Their father was a very rigid, traditional man who never forgave Jack for choosing academia over the family construction business." I nodded, remembering Jack's comment. "What you might not know is that I was married once before Henry," Laura continued. "A brief, unfortunate union when I was very young. When I decided to marry Henry, my father refused to attend because he thought it was shameful for me to have a second wedding. He said it would embarrass him." "That's terrible," I murmured. "It was Jack who offered to walk me down the aisle," she said, a small smile forming. "He understood what it was like to be rejected by a parent. He told me, 'Laura, you deserve to be given away by someone who celebrates your happiness, not someone who judges it.'" Her story resonated deeply. I had no idea. Jack never had children of his own, Laura continued, but he's been the most wonderful uncle to Benjamin and Noah. He attends every school play, graduation, every important moment. She was too tactful to say it directly, but the idea began to form in my mind. "Do you think," I started hesitantly, "would it be inappropriate to ask Jack if he would walk me down the aisle?" Laura's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, sweetheart, I think it would mean the world to him. But this has to be your decision." I spent the next day considering it. Jack had always shown genuine interest in my life, had been nothing but kind. There was something poetic about being walked down the aisle by someone who truly understood parental rejection. That evening, I called Jack. We met at a bookstore cafe. When I arrived, he was already there, a stack of books and 2 coffees waiting. "I took the liberty of ordering your usual," he said with a warm smile. "Vanilla latte with an extra shot, right?" The fact that he remembered such a small detail only confirmed his character. After some small talk, I gathered my courage. "Jack, there's something I wanted to ask you." He set down his coffee, giving me his full attention. "Anything, Adrian." "I don't know if Benjamin told you, but my father has decided not to walk me down the aisle." The words still hurt to say. Jack nodded solemnly. "Benjamin mentioned there was some conflict." "I am truly sorry." I took a deep breath. "Laura told me how you walked her down the aisle at her wedding to Henry, and how meaningful that was to her." I was wondering. I would be honored if you would consider doing the same for me. Jack's expression shifted from surprise to profound emotion. For a moment, he couldn't speak, his eyes glistening. Adrian, he finally said, his voice thick. I cannot tell you what this means to me. Are you certain? This should be a special moment with someone you are close to. I am absolutely certain, I replied, feeling more confident by the second. You have shown me more genuine interest and support in the years I've known you than my father has in a decade. I would be proud to have you walk me down the aisle. Jack reached across the table and took my hand. Then I accept with all my heart. It would be one of the greatest honors of my life. The weight that had been crushing me for weeks suddenly felt lighter. Jack was right. Family was about who showed up, not just shared DNA. The final days before the wedding were a whirlwind. Through it all, I felt a new sense of peace. I made one last attempt to reach out to my father, calling him 3 days before. Dad, I just wanted to confirm whether you're still planning to come to the reception. Yes, I should be able to make it after Vanessa's event, he replied, sounding distracted. Probably around 7:30 or 8. I swallowed hard. I also wanted you to know that I've asked Benjamin's uncle, Jack, to walk me down the aisle. A pause. Who? Jack Harris. Benjamin's uncle. He's been very supportive. I see. His tone was unreadable. Well, I suppose someone has to do it if I can't be there on time. His dismissive response only confirmed I had made the right choice. The night before, at our rehearsal dinner, Jack gave a toast that brought tears to many eyes. To Adrian and Benjamin, he said, raising his glass. True love is not just about finding the right person, but also about creating a family of choice that supports and celebrates you. I am deeply honored to play a small role in your special day. Later, as guests left, I checked social media one last time. Vanessa's posts about her career celebration showed simple decorations in her apartment with maybe a dozen people tagged. It was clearly not the grand corporate event she'd described. Just a regular house party she'd scheduled specifically to conflict with my wedding. The knowledge should have hurt, but instead, I felt a strange sense of clarity. The scales had finally fallen from my eyes about the true nature of my sister's feelings. Her jealousy ran so deep she'd sabotage one of the most important days of my life out of spite. I closed the app, determined not to let her negativity touch me. Tomorrow would be about love, not family drama. I awoke on my wedding day to sunshine. My bridesmaids arrived, their excitement infectious. As my friend Sophia had her hair styled, my phone chimed with a text from Dad. Good luck today. Vanessa's event starts at 11 o'clock. If it wraps up early, I might be able to make it to the reception by 7 or 8. Save me some cake. Not a word of regret about missing the ceremony. Not even congratulations or I love you. Just a reminder that Vanessa's party was his priority. I handed the phone to my bridesmaid Zoe, unable to respond. He's unbelievable, she muttered, giving me a supportive hug. Try not to let it ruin your day. Around noon, Jack knocked. Immaculately dressed in his tuxedo, holding a small gift box. I hope I'm not intruding, he said. I just wanted to drop this off for Adrian. I invited him in. You look absolutely radiant, he said, his eyes crinkling with genuine warmth. Benjamin is a very fortunate young man. Thank you for coming by, I replied. And for everything else. Jack handed me the box. I wanted you to have this today. It belonged to my mother, and I've been saving it for a special occasion. Inside was a delicate vintage handkerchief edged with lace and tiny blue flowers. Something old, something blue, Jack explained. My mother carried it on her wedding day in 1930. I thought perhaps you might like to have it with you today. Tears welled in my eyes. It's beautiful, Jack. I would be honored. There's one more thing, he added, pulling out a small velvet pouch. Laura asked me to give you this. It was meant to be a surprise. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a paintbrush crossed with a pen. She remembered you telling her how you loved both writing and painting as a child, Jack explained. She wanted you to have a reminder of your creative spirit. The thoughtfulness overwhelmed me. These people, who had no obligation to me by blood, had shown more care for my happiness than my own family. Please thank her for me, I managed, fastening the bracelet. This means so much. Jack nodded, understanding. I should let you continue getting ready. I'll see you before the ceremony. As the afternoon progressed, I focused on the joy. My bridesmaids helped me into my dress. With my hair up, Mom's pearl earrings, Laura's bracelet, and Jack's handkerchief tucked into my bouquet, I felt ready. At 3:30, the photographer was finishing. Laura arrived. "Oh, Adrian," she breathed, tears in her eyes. "You are absolutely stunning." She hugged me carefully. "Jack is waiting in the lobby whenever you're ready." 10 minutes before 4, I walked to the garden terrace. Through the glass doors, I could see 90 guests. The floral arch where Benjamin waited, the string quartet. Jack was in the anteroom, slightly nervous but composed. When he saw me, his expression was pure pride. "Ready?" he asked gently. I nodded, too emotional to speak. He offered his arm. As the first notes of Canon in D began, the doors opened. Walking down the aisle with Jack, I felt a curious blend of emotions. A pang of sadness that my father had chosen to miss this moment. Yes, but it was overshadowed by gratitude for the man who had stepped in with such grace and kindness. Benjamin's face as he watched me approach was worth every moment of planning, every family drama, every tear shed. His eyes shone with love and wonder. And in that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that we were creating our own family, one built on mutual respect and genuine care. The ceremony was everything I had hoped for. We exchanged our own vows, promising to support each other's dreams, communicate honestly, and choose each other every day. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, the applause wrapped around us like an embrace. The cocktail hour and dinner were filled with laughter, toasts, and dancing. Benjamin's father gave a heartfelt speech. Jack's toast brought happy tears. By 8:30, it was clear my father wouldn't even make the reception. I tried not to let it dampen my spirits as Benjamin and I shared our first dance. As the evening progressed, I noticed my cousin Thomas arrived, looking frazzled. He was Mom's nephew and always kind. He was also one of the few family members who maintained relationships with both Vanessa and me. After greeting him, I commented on his late arrival. "I'm so sorry," he said, genuinely apologetic. I stopped by Vanessa's event first, thinking I could make both. "But Adrian, there's something you should know." He guided me to a quiet corner, his expression serious. "That party Vanessa had today, it wasn't what she told everyone. It wasn't a work event at all." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" "It was just a regular gathering at her apartment. Maybe 15 people total. Mostly her friends from the gym and a couple of coworkers. There was no company recognition, no achievement celebration." I asked her colleague Sarah about the broker promotion, and she looked completely confused. The implications were staggering. "So, she lied about the whole thing just to create a conflict with my wedding?" Thomas nodded grimly. "That's not all. I overheard her talking to your dad. She's been telling him for months that you didn't really want him at the wedding, that you only asked him to walk you down the aisle out of obligation." "What?" "Completely false." "I know. And there's more." Thomas pulled out his phone and showed me a text exchange between him and Vanessa from months earlier. In it, Vanessa openly admitted to scheduling her party on my wedding day deliberately. She wanted to force Dad to choose. The revelation was both shocking and strangely validating. All these years, I thought I was being paranoid about Vanessa's manipulations. Here was proof she had been actively sabotaging my relationship with our father. "Does Dad know any of this?" I asked. Thomas shook his head. "I don't think so. I tried to tell him today, but Vanessa kept interrupting and eventually pulled him away." "I'm so sorry, Adrian. I should have realized what was happening sooner." I hugged my cousin, grateful for his honesty. "Thank you for telling me, Thomas. At least now I know the truth." I tried to process this new information. Part of me wanted to call my father immediately and expose Vanessa. But another part recognized this was my wedding day, and I deserved to enjoy it. I rejoined Benjamin on the dance floor, pushing thoughts of my sister and father aside. This day was about our love, our future, not the painful past. The reception was winding down around 10:30, only about 40 guests left, when I noticed a commotion near the entrance. My heart skipped a beat. My father's tall figure entered the ballroom, looking uncomfortable in a suit that seemed hastily put on. Benjamin noticed him too and squeezed my hand. "Do you want me to run interference?" I shook my head. "No, I need to handle this." My father approached awkwardly, holding a small gift bag. "Congratulations," he said stiffly, leaning in for an equally stiff hug. "Sorry I'm late. Vanessa's thing ran longer than expected." The casual way he referenced missing my entire wedding ceremony made my blood boil, but I maintained my composure. "I'm glad you could make it for the last hour of the reception." If he detected the sarcasm, he didn't acknowledge it. He glanced around the room. "It looks like it was a nice wedding," he commented, as if discussing a movie he'd missed. "It was beautiful," I replied. "Perfect, actually." An uncomfortable silence fell. Then he thrust the gift bag toward me. "This is from Vanessa and me." A set of crystal wine glasses. "Thank you," I said, setting it aside. "Would you like a drink?" He nodded, and we walked to the bar. As the bartender prepared his scotch, my father finally asked the question I'd been expecting. "So, who ended up walking you down the aisle?" "Jack Harris," I replied. "Benjamin's uncle." My father frowned. "The older gentleman in the navy tuxedo, the one who gave that toast earlier?" I nodded, spotting Jack chatting with Laura and Henry. "Yes, that's him." "You had a stranger walk you down the aisle?" His tone was incredulous, as if I'd made an absurd choice. "He is not a stranger to me," I said firmly. "He has been part of Benjamin's family for years, and he has shown more interest in my life and happiness than you have in a very long time." My father's face flushed with anger. "That's not fair, Adrian. I have always supported you." "Have you?" I challenged, years of hurt finally bubbling to the surface. "You missed my art scholarship ceremony because Vanessa told you I didn't want you there. You forgot my college graduation dinner until Benjamin's parents reminded you. And now you skipped my wedding ceremony for Vanessa's fake party." "Fake party? What are you talking about?" At that moment, Thomas approached. "Uncle Richard, I'm glad you made it, even if it is just for the end of the reception." My father nodded curtly. "Thomas, what is this Adrian is saying about Vanessa's party being fake?" Thomas looked between us, realizing he'd walked into a tense conversation. "I was just telling Adrian earlier. The party today wasn't a work event. It was just a regular get-together at Vanessa's apartment." "That can't be right," my father insisted. "Vanessa said it was for her broker promotion. The firm was sponsoring it." "I asked her colleague Sarah about it," Thomas replied calmly. "There was no promotion, no company event. It was just a party Vanessa planned on the same day as Adrian's wedding." My father's expression shifted from disbelief to confusion. Before he could respond, Jack approached. "Adrian, Benjamin is looking for you. I believe it's almost time for the sparkler send-off." My father stared at Jack with barely concealed hostility. "You must be the uncle who walked my daughter down the aisle." Jack extended his hand politely. "Jack Harris. You must be Richard. It's good to finally meet you." My father ignored the outstretched hand. "I don't understand why my daughter needed to have a stranger take my place at her wedding." "Dad, stop it." I hissed, mortified. Jack remained composed. "I can understand your confusion. It was an honor to support Adrienne on her special day, especially knowing how important the ceremony was to her." "Important to her?" My father scoffed. "If it was so important, she could have scheduled it on a day that didn't conflict with her sister's event." "My wedding was scheduled 9 months ago," I interjected. "Vanessa deliberately planned her party for the same day, and Thomas has proof of it." Thomas reluctantly showed my father the texts. My father read them, his face growing increasingly pale. "This cannot be right," he muttered. "Vanessa wouldn't do this. She's been doing it for years, Dad," I said, my voice breaking. "She's been deliberately driving a wedge between us since Mom died. She lied to you about me not wanting you at my art ceremony, about me not caring if you came to my graduation dinner, and now about me not really wanting you to walk me down the aisle." My father looked genuinely shocked. "She told me you said having me walk you down the aisle would be embarrassing because we aren't close anymore. She said you only asked out of obligation." "That is absolutely not true." I insisted. "I wanted you there. I have always wanted you in my life." The realization seemed to hit my father all at once. The years of manipulation suddenly became clear. His expression shifted from confusion to anger. "I need to speak with Vanessa," he said sharply, pulling out his phone. "Not now," I pleaded. "This is my wedding reception." But he was already dialing, stepping away. Jack placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry about this, Adrian. Should I get Benjamin?" I nodded gratefully. Jack returned moments later with my new husband. Benjamin took in the situation, quickly putting a protective arm around me. "What happened?" Before I could explain, my father returned, his face flushed with anger. Vanessa hung up on me. "I'm going to her apartment right now to get the proof." "Dad, please," I said. "Can this wait until tomorrow? This is supposed to be a celebration." "I need to know if what you are saying is true," he insisted. "If Vanessa has been lying to me all these years, she has," Thomas confirmed quietly. "I'm sorry, Uncle Richard, but it's true." My father looked at me, then at Jack, who was standing supportively beside Benjamin and me. Something about seeing us together seemed to trigger a fresh wave of anger in him. "So you replaced me with him?" he demanded, gesturing toward Jack. "Some random old man you barely know?" Jack stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Mr. Evans, I understand you are upset, but this is neither the time nor place for this conversation. Today is about Adrian and Benjamin's marriage, not about past grievances." "Don't tell me what this day is about," my father snapped. "She is my daughter." "Then perhaps you should have acted like her father," Jack replied evenly. "Being a father means showing up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters most." The simple truth of Jack's words seemed to hit my father like a physical blow. He stared at Jack, then at me, his anger suddenly deflating into something that looked almost like shame. "I need to go," he said abruptly. "I need to talk to Vanessa." Without another word, he turned and strode out, leaving an uncomfortable silence. Benjamin pulled me close. "Are you okay?" I nodded, though tears threatened. I just wished he could have seen the truth sooner. Jack's steady presence beside us was comforting. Family revelations are never easy, Adrian, but sometimes they are necessary for healing to begin. Laura and Henry joined us. "Don't let this overshadow your beautiful day," Laura said, hugging me. "You and Benjamin deserve all the happiness in the world." We rejoined the remaining guests for the sparkler send-off, creating a magical tunnel of light. As Benjamin and I ran through to our waiting car, despite the confrontation, I felt a curious sense of peace. The truth was finally out. And whatever happened next, I had a new family who truly valued me. Benjamin and I spent 2 blissful weeks honeymooning in Greece. The distance allowed me to process everything. I turned off notifications from Dad and Vanessa, determined to enjoy our special time. But when we returned, reality was waiting in my voicemail and email inbox. 5 messages from my father, each more apologetic. The final one, left 3 days before our return, was particularly raw. "Adrian, I don't know if you're listening to these, but you were right about Vanessa." After the wedding, I confronted her with those text messages Thomas showed me. At first, she denied everything, but when I pressed her, she finally admitted the truth. She's been manipulating both of us for years. I cannot believe I was so blind. I understand if you never want to speak to me again, but I hope someday you'll give me a chance to make this right. I am so sorry I missed your wedding. It was unforgivable. There were no messages from Vanessa, just a cold email stating she was taking time away from family drama and would be traveling indefinitely. I sat on our couch, staring at my phone. Benjamin sat beside me, holding my hand. "What are you thinking?" he finally asked. "I don't know," I admitted. Part of me feels vindicated that Dad finally sees the truth, but another part is just sad for all the years we lost. "Do you want to call him back?" he asked. I considered it. Not yet. I need some time to figure out what I want this relationship to look like going forward, if I even want one at all. The next few weeks were busy with thank you notes, returning to work, settling into married life. I stayed in close contact with Benjamin's family, especially Jack, who called every Sunday evening. "How are you doing, Adrian?" he'd ask, his voice warm with genuine concern. We'd talk about books, work, and deeper discussions about family and forgiveness. Jack never pressured me about reconnecting with my father, but his own experiences offered valuable perspectives. Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior, he told me during one call. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Whatever you decide, make sure it brings you peace. A month after our return, I finally called my father. We met at a neutral cafe. He was already there, looking older, more tired. He stood awkwardly. "Adrian, thank you for coming," he said, his voice thick. We sat down, ordering coffee. "I don't even know where to begin," he said after our drinks arrived. "I failed you so completely." "Yes, you did," I agreed, not sugarcoating it. "But I want to understand how it happened. How did you not see what Vanessa was doing all these years?" He sighed heavily. "After your mother died, I was lost. Vanessa stepped up, and I was grateful. It was easier to believe her version of events than to face my own grief and inadequacy as a single parent. She became my connection to you, filtering everything. By the time you left for college, I believed her narrative that you were pulling away. I never wanted to pull away from you," I said. "I just couldn't handle Vanessa's constant manipulation. It was easier to distance myself." "I understand that now," he replied. When I confronted her, she finally admitted everything. She's been jealous of our relationship since you were a child. She felt I always favored you, and after your mother died, she saw an opportunity to have me all to herself. Have you spoken to her since?" He shook his head. "She left for Florida the day after I confronted her. She's staying with a friend in Miami and refuses to discuss what happened. I don't know when or if she will come back." We talked for nearly 3 hours, going through painful memories and misunderstandings. There were tears, recriminations, and eventually, the beginnings of understanding. "I want to try to rebuild our relationship," my father said as we prepared to leave. "I know I don't deserve another chance, but if you're willing, I'd like to get to know the amazing woman you've become." "I need to think about it," I replied honestly. "This isn't something we can fix in one conversation." He nodded, accepting my boundary. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready." Over the following months, we began a careful reconciliation. Weekly phone calls became regular visits. I introduced him properly to Benjamin's family, including Jack, who displayed remarkable grace in welcoming my father despite their awkward first meeting. 3 months after our first reunion, my father suggested a family dinner at his home, including Benjamin's parents and Jack. It was a tentative step toward blending our families. And while there were awkward moments, there was also genuine effort on all sides. After dinner, I found my father and Jack in the living room, deep in conversation. "I want to thank you for being there for Adrian when I wasn't," my father was saying. "Walking her down the aisle should have been my privilege, but you did it with honor." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "She is a remarkable young woman. You should be very proud of who she has become, largely through her own strength and determination." "I am," my father agreed. "I just wish I had been more present to see it happening." Their conversation gave me hope that perhaps the wounds of the past could truly heal with time and effort. Vanessa remained distant, occasionally sending impersonal texts or holiday cards, but avoiding any real conversation. I came to accept that some relationships might never be repaired, and that was okay. 6 months after the wedding, we hosted our first Thanksgiving as a married couple. Our dining table was filled with Benjamin's family, my father, cousin Thomas, and a few close friends. Vanessa was invited but declined. As we went around the table sharing what we were thankful for, my father's voice broke with emotion. "I am thankful for second chances," he said simply, "and for a daughter whose capacity for forgiveness humbles me every day." When it was Jack's turn, he smiled warmly around the table. "I am thankful for the reminder that family is created through love and choice, not just biology. And I am especially thankful to have gained another niece in Adrian, whose courage and grace inspire me." On our 1-year anniversary, Benjamin and I held a small dinner party. Jack surprised us with a toast that brought tears to my eyes. 1 year ago, I had the privilege of walking this beautiful young woman down the aisle to marry the man she loves. What began as an honor became one of the greatest gifts of my life, the opportunity to be part of Adrian and Benjamin's journey. May your marriage continue to grow in strength and joy. And may you always remember that true family consists of those who choose to love you, even when it's difficult. As I reflect on the journey that brought us here, I realized that sometimes life's greatest wounds can lead to unexpected healing. My father's absence on my wedding day led to Jack's presence, which in turn created a bridge for my father's eventual return to my life. The family I have now includes both those I was born to and those I have chosen. All imperfect, all valuable in their own ways. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harmful behavior. It means freeing yourself from the burden of resentment and creating boundaries that protect your heart while allowing for growth and change. The father who walks you down the aisle should indeed be someone who has walked beside you through life's challenges, supporting and loving you unconditionally. Sometimes that person shares your DNA, and sometimes they come into your life through other paths. What matters most is not who stands beside you on one important day, but who shows up for all the ordinary days that follow. I am fortunate to have found my tribe, the people who choose me every day, just as I choose them. And remember, sometimes the most beautiful families are the ones we create through love and choice, not just the ones we are born into.